You're watching Amador County's local television network, TSPN.
Hi everyone, and we're back, and I'm Rich with Rich
Farrington.
It's one of those days, huh?
Well,
okay,
anyway, Richard Forrester.
Listen,
I'm Rich Farrington.
Stop it. Okay, don't get me any more mixed up than I am, please. Okay, we're talking about the MokeWise project, and they have concepts, and really there's been a lot of talk about MokeWise, but let's try to bring it in, find out some of its structure, what it's trying to do and accomplish. I think we've had kind of a rough view, but tell us a little bit more about it. Give us some of the ideas of what is it trying to do with these categories, I guess we could call them.
They formed this collaborative group and then offered the opportunity for the group to propose projects, or what they're calling concepts, but basically they're projects that still need to be refined.
Okay, why don't you read those off, because I think when I did, I think it gives some clarity of what we're talking about.
So this is a list. There's like 27 projects and 5 proposed policies and initiatives that this group has come up with. The first is anadromous fish restoration. That is salmon and steelhead, where they would truck salmon and steelhead around from the McCollum around Comanche and Pardee and put them in the river above Pardee. Meadow restoration. There are meadows in the high countries that could benefit by restoring them. Maybe they would retain more groundwater that way and release that slowly because of our declining snowpack. McCollum Day fish screens. There's some intakes in the lower river that don't have fish screens. They'd like to make sure that we don't suck up and grind up the little fish. Yeah. A riparian restoration, that is vegetation right along the river banks, both above and below Pardee and Comanche, are proposed. A soil restoration water quality improvement project, recycled wastewater and recharging that into the groundwater.
Well, let's stop there for just a moment, and we won't talk about that, but let's talk about, like, who are the experts on these areas, and then we'll pick up and we'll keep going on, but who are the experts? Who's giving input for all these different...
The projects, again, were proposed by the various representatives, environmental groups, or public agencies, and the consultant, because of the nearly $8 million grant that we got from the Department of Water Resources, a consultant was hired that basically manages the whole project and does the staff work and background. Okay. And they have subcontracted with a fishery expert and also a sort of a hydrology expert to try to evaluate and give us some feedback on the potential impacts of these proposals so that can be used in kind of an assessment.
So that's like an ongoing staff that is collecting all of the information and the data and organizing it for the stakeholders, I guess, when they come to the meetings?
Right.
And then they get reports? Is that how it
Correct.
works?
And they have handouts, they do all the background work, they arrange for the facility. That's what that money is used for.
Do most of the stakeholders put great stock into the staff?
Yes, I think they do, and by the way, we have a facilitator as well to help with the dialogue and move us forward. And the decision-making process they're using is consensus, and that is the standard is, can everybody live with this? If at decision points we come to, that's the question: can everybody live with it? So if
there's give and take in this.
Yes, and there's discussions, dialogue, and point, counterpoint, that kind of thing that's been going on, and we're in the sort of getting increasingly involved in that at this point in terms of the assessments, and if it helps to refine the objective of the project, make it a feasibility study rather than an actual project, then that's another accommodation that can be made to see if maybe the project, if it has merit and it has a sponsor. Okay. Each of these projects has is it voting and, say, a consensus of, it sounded like there might be 40 or 50 stakeholders there at a meeting? Is that where it happens? Like, okay, where do we move from here? And then we take feelers, find out where everybody's at? Yes.
Does it break down into groups? Some things, or are you basically...
So far it's been just the broad group. This last meeting we have, and again we meet in public, and the meetings are open to the public. the second Friday of every month at sometimes different locations, and the public is welcome. There is a time slot available reserved for public comment, usually right before lunch every day. We did have a breakout group into 3 different groups that were a broad spectrum of individuals in each group, so you didn't have just the water agencies in one group and, you know, environmentalists or ag, that type of thing. It was a broad.
The groups are getting a chance to meet other groups with other ideas.
The breakout groups get an opportunity to dialogue some more, better understanding sometimes the communications and the understanding of the point counterpoint is not well communicated, so this is an opportunity to really get a little, quite a bit more in depth.
Okay, let's continue on from some of these categories.
Okay, I was reading through these.
Now that we have an idea of like what the meetings might look like or how they're operated.
Another project proposal or concept is an Amador County reuse of wastewater. So that'd probably be primarily in Jackson, Sutter Creek. Desalination is a project. Eastern San Joaquin County groundwater banking. So this is an effort to recharge the dropping groundwater levels down in the valley. A hydrologic assessment of Amador County. Urban water conservation, part of the problem. This is an important project that could help Amador water agencies and the water agencies in the other 2 counties that we would like to be able to do more for water conservation, but you know, costs of them is limited, and at this point Amador water agencies applied for and gotten funding with some drought funding through to 2 projects that are really going to be a huge savings in terms of our water use. So, but let me keep going. There's agriculture conservation initiative. There's a floodplain management where they would try to do some recharge of the groundwater along the lower McCollum.
So I hear that mentioned quite often. I think it's about the 4th time I've heard groundwater recharging. So that's pretty important in the San Joaquin area, correct? Right. Or probably all of California, but
well, especially with the 3 new laws that came together at the last session of the state legislature that got the government now more involved in controlling groundwater. We don't think that it's going to have an effect on the vast majority of Amador County. It'll be just in the lower or the western portion of the county where it is currently
we could
defined.
probably get off and do a half hour on that, but let's
keep going.
Sure.
There's some other studies or feasibility studies that involve increasing surface storage. One of them is removing sediment from PG&E reservoirs that could allow us to the reservoirs to hold more water. There's a proposal to study raising Lower Bear River Reservoir Dam. There's a broad analysis in Amador and Calaveras counties of opportunities for surface water storage projects. There's a proposal to...
So is that off-site, you know, moving some of the storage away from the...
It could be both. River? It could be on-stream storage or off-stream. And so the storage it's called reoperation of reservoirs, which is sounds confusing, but essentially means that PG&E, if they were open to, because they own the dams that we have in the headwaters in our county, right, and Alpine County, that if we paid them some additional funds, could they reserve more water for us so that we'd have better, you know, storage to firm up our existing water supply.
When you say for us, is it basically, are you speaking now about Amador County that would like more water? Is Calaveras County, say, asking for more off-site storage as well?
I think the benefit would be to all 3 counties.
Okay.
You know, I'm not sure everybody is aware, but the state notified California Public Utilities Districts then back in October that they, because of the unreliable water supply that they have, in other words, it's not backed up by a good reservoir, that they were to stop and to withdraw their will serve permits for any kind of new customers. And so Calaveras Public Utility, they're very concerned about, and Calaveras County, I think, supervisors, concerned about making sure that.
So you really need this information in Calaveras as well as so you can plan for.
Well, not only that, we talked about groundwater.
Okay, we have about a minute and a half. You want to do a few more, or kind of tie this together a little bit with that time, Rich? It's up to you.
Well, I could go through and read the rest of these. There are some policies. I've just mentioned those. One of the policies is a concern that land use planning needs to be better coordinated with water planning. There's a proposed policy on sustainable forest management, and there's some studies indicating that thinning of the forest would reduce the fire hazard and increase water supply. And obviously, we've had the Rim Fire a couple of years ago and the King Fire this last year, north of and south of us, that if we got a huge fire like the Power Fire burning through our McCollum watershed, it could really muddy up and screw up our water. So there's a push there to kind of to move and emphasize sustainable forest management. There's a proposal for a watershed coordinator, which would be MokeWise, upper and lower McCollum watershed, to kind of take the lead and implement some of these things, groundwater management options, and something called public interest profile enhancement, which is an effort to kind of put in a policy, a program to continue to look for opportunities to enhance the environment.
Okay, we're going to have to leave it there, and as you can see, this is quite a project and a study, and maybe we'll have a chance to learn more about it. I'm certainly learning a lot as we go along here, so stay with us. There might be more coming up on this in a future show, but for right now, thanks for watching TSPN's News. We'll see you again next time.
You're watching Amador County's local television network, TSPN.